that Mr. Jeffrey Williams may have used in order to say he was or was not gay has no relevance to who killed Donovan Thomas.
It's speculation.
Whether or not Mr. Birdman may or may not, Brian Williams may or may not be gay has no relevance.
I'm gonna exclude that.
Mr. Williams was using people thinking he's gay as a marketing tool has no bearing on the trial before us, which is whether or not they killed Donovan Thomas. And what part is the court believing in speculation?
Madam, I'm ruling, okay? I've ruled.
If you're new, make sure y'all hit that notification bell, that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep. Have the judge's decisions in this YSL RICO trial actually hindered the defense due to the judge actually taking advantage of his position as a gatekeeper in this trial? Or did the state's key witness actually just blow the whole state's RICO case? And will the alleged ex parte meeting actually expose corruption and coercion from the state? Man, I'm your host, Jay, and it's a lot to talk about and not a lot of time to do it. But before we dig deep, whether you're a fan of Young Thug and YSL or a fan of the state, tap that notification bell, hit that like, and definitely subscribe to the channel. Now ask yourself this: did the state just now realize that they possibly took off more than what they were able to handle? Man, y'all know the vibes. If you don't, grab a seat. We finna dig deep. So as the YSL RICO trial kicked off this week, you can definitely feel the tension actually growing in the actual courthouse with the prosecution. Now, ironically, you would think that they would be on the same page, being that they brought this case to the state and introduced it as an actual RICO, but unfortunately, due to the state's key witness, it looks like the case is actually falling apart. Now, interesting, Judge G, which is the presiding judge over this actual YSL RICO trial, has actually let the state introduce so much information and evidence that it seems like the state might have actually just bit off a little bit more than they could chew, and this was all allowed under the watch of Judge G. Now, as everybody knows, and as it comes as no surprise, the YSL defense is definitely not saying eye to eye with the state nor the actual judge, with the defense actually filing a number of motions asking the judge to actually recuse itself, actually be removed from the case, or either be sworn in as a witness due to the ex parte. Ask yourself, is this actually going the way that the state planned, or is the state actually getting played? Now, with several motions being filed, including the order of recusal, today, we actually learned, and over the week, that 3 more motions of recusal have actually been filed, and not one has been taken into consideration or signed for the defense to actually go get review of the YSL case. So is the judge being fair, or is this judge being biased? Now, interestingly, over day 91 and 90, we did actually see a shift in the courtroom with the judge and his energy, as well as a shift between the actual prosecution, Ms. Hilton and Ms. Love. But is tension brewing in the actual courtroom, or is it deeper than rap? Let's dig.
Into evidence is not relevant. Whether or not Mr. Birdman may or may not, Brian Williams may or may not be gay has no relevance to whether or not the individuals charged with killing Donovan Thomas killed Donovan Thomas. There's no relevance to that. The marketing scheme or the marketing tool that Mr. Jeffrey Williams may have used in order to say he was or was not gay has no relevance to who killed Donovan Thomas. Mr. Williams was using people thinking he's gay as a marketing tool has no bearing on the trial before us, which is whether or not they killed Donovan Thomas. Now, Your Honor, Mr. Steele once talked about the evidence that has come forth about Mr. Williams being part of sex, money, murder, Mr. Williams being a part of a gang. Now, if Mr. Copeland was saying he says being in a gang is a marketing tool, then we might be in a different conversation. If Woody in this interview, Mr. Copeland in this interview said, he says all this gang stuff because that's marketing, different conversation. Whether or not he uses being gay as a marketing tool, that is not relevant to what is happening in this trial. If Mr. Copeland would have said, he's not really a gang member, he just says that to market himself, different. If Mr. Copeland would have said, hey, he doesn't really have guns, they are all fake in the video, different conversation. But the fact that he says he's not really gay, it's a marketing tool, is not relevant at all. Has no bearing on the issue at hand.
Pause. Did y'all see Thug's face when Prosecutor Hilton actually said that 1, 2, and 3 times about his preference? Now, I don't know if Thug got mad, but that definitely struck a nerve. And Mr. Williams, she better put some respect on his name. Man, is the state still reaching? Let's dig.
All right. Much like the court's determination on 4, the state's not going to be required to play it in their case, play it in their examination. The section between 748.10 and 749.30.33, but it can be played on cross-examination.
Do you believe that it's inadmissible, or will it back in the appropriate time?
Assuming that but based upon what's been proffered so far by counsels for the defense, depending upon how it's if its foundation is properly laid, I'm going to say it's probably going to be able to be played for impeachment. So that's my ruling at this time. But
Here's Rico.
subject to my hearing. It can be subject to other things that may develop. Okay. All right.
Now, first, we definitely got to talk about the motions that were actually just won by the defense. Definitely huge game changers. To be able to exclude some of the extensive information that was given by the state's key witness, YSL Will, to the case, and take some of that out, which would take some of those irrelevant names and some of those relevant communications or connections out that would have allegedly linked Young Thug and YSL to alleged criminal organization or crime or activities, was just taken out by the judge. Man, do you see the expression and the look on Miss Love's face? Does the state actually know that this case is actually falling apart right in front of their face? Let that sink in. Let's dig.
Impeachment is restricted to non-collateral matters.
Wouldn't it be collateral whether or not he killed Mr. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
But you all asked about that on direct.
Your Honor,
You all asked about that on direct. Okay. That's a material matter. That's not a collateral matter.
But listen, Your Honor, what they asked him is, do you know about not knocking anyone else off? That has nothing to do with whether Kenneth Copeland killed Donovan Thomas. They're asking him, do you know about any other people he done killed that he might have killed? And he's saying, I don't know much about that. So he says, your boy on Cleveland. He said, I don't know too much about that. And then they asked him, what about the boy on Auburn? And he says, Scooter. And then he says, all he did, meaning Scooter, came up on him and someone had him killed. He's not talking about Mr. Thomas. He doesn't know who had him killed. Then further, when they go back to Cleveland Avenue and they're asking again about the Cleveland Avenue thing, he says, I'm just hearing pieces of it. I don't know. So at no point does Mr. Copeland says, I know Donovan Thomas did this or this. He's saying, these are the rumors that I hear. So again, they're not trying to bring this in for Mr. Copeland's state of mind. They want to bring it in to show bad character. Federal to, did these individuals kill Donovan Thomas, and did Kenneth Copeland say something contradictory to what these individuals killing Donovan Thomas?
Okay. All right, man. Okay.
Got him. You seen Judge G caught that quick. Didn't you? Isn't that collateral? Didn't you ask about that already on direct? Did the state forget? Nah, they didn't forget. This is what the state's doing. See, this is how they're slipping right here, right now. This is why it only made sense for Woody to be impeached. The state wants to get him for perjury. We don't want the perjury. We want to get him impeached. If we get Woody impeached, all of the information, the jury is already tapped out. As a matter of fact, Woody has actually become a fan favorite. Salute to YSL Woody. Now, you still did whatever you did and said whatever you said. Can't change that. The video is going to reveal that. But right now, man, the state is scrambling and gambling. And man, Judge G, what's got a hold of Judge G? Why is he paying attention to everything the state is doing now? Let that sink in. Let's dig.
Bad character, there's a lot more low-hanging fruit that we'd be aiming at. And furthermore, the state, regarding character, the state has asked people about him buying haircuts and what kind of guy he is.
Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, about buying haircuts and what kind of guy he is. And, oh, he was a great guy. You know, he'd show up and we'd all start smoking marijuana and everyone would be happy. And I don't know if that impressed the jury, but the intent was, oh, he's a great guy. So character has been placed at issue, but we're not going after character. Whether Mr. Copeland killed Donovan Thomas is clearly material. Mr. Copeland's motive to kill Donovan Thomas is clearly material. His We have to remember, Mr. Copeland has stolen from Donovan Thomas. Mr. Copeland has been put on the menu, quote unquote, at a meeting a couple days before where Mr. Donovan Thomas and his associates were present. So now to say that Mr. Copeland's belief and or knowledge, whether it's through hearsay, through rumors or whatever, his belief that Mr. Thomas follows through, of course that's relevant.
Mic drop.
Of course that's
Come on,
relevant.
Sean. Now what's crazy is that the judge is on fire. Like the prosecution is, they may be in trouble. Has somebody tapped the judge on the shoulder and made him have a change of heart? Ask yourself this. Is the state in trouble? And where's Miss Love? Is it just me, or does it seem like it's tension in the side of the prosecution? You went from the neck rolling, talking out the side of the neck, to writing on the sticky papers, to gone? Is this a good sign, a good faith? Does Miss Love still believe in the trial, in the case? Man, let's dig. It's finna get deep. So is Ms. Shaw right? Did the state actually paint that picture in front of the jury just to paint a fake narrative? Let that sink in. Now the defense's whole argument is that this evidence that the state was trying to introduce or is introducing is completely irrelevant and holds no ground. And ironically, the judge actually agreed. Now this means that the prosecution can actually no longer use this information from YSL Will in the interrogation to build the narrative. And ask yourself, without this evidence, is the state's case actually starting to look even more shaky? Let's dig.
What you know about not having anybody else locked up?
Nigga on Cleveland, but I don't know too much about it.
What about the boy on Auburn?
Who, Scooter. I heard something, but it wasn't much. It was just like, all he did on California. Somebody had him killed. That's all I heard. All the Scooter did. But he robbed folks. But when he's come to the jail, like, I ain't shit, but he's always, like, he's paranoid. Yeah. But I ain't know what he was doing. Right. You know what I'm saying? But he was paranoid. He's come to the jail. He be like, so I gotta go. Yeah.
But everybody
they come out of the weed and hit guilt. What the hell wrong with me? Yeah.
Everybody painting him as a saint now.
Huh?
Everybody painting that as a saint. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't like me now. But I might call a girl. They did that trade, I'm like,
I'm going to exclude that from 701.42 to 702.26. The rest of it can be played. And I believe you all excluded. Actually, you've excluded 702.26 to 703.08 by agreement. Is there anything else in that segment that I need to rule upon?
Can I understand the court's rules?
I'm going to exclude 701.52 to 702.26.
Can we understand what the basis is?
It's speculation.
But, Your Honor, we literally just started speculation for the last, everything that the defense.
That's impeachment, though. It's
But
not
it was impeachment based on speculation.
It's impeachment.
The state might be in trouble. The state might be in trouble.
And what part does the court believe in speculation?
Madam, I'm ruling, okay? I've ruled. 701.52 to
Ain't got some straightening
702.26 is not going to be played. Okay? You all have agreed upon 702.26 to 703.08 to be excluded. So is there anything else in that particular segment that I need to resolve? That should take care of it, right?
For that
Yes, ma'am.
area, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right.
Yo, stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the like button. Share the video. Hit the like button. Let's dig. Come on, YSL Steele.
Issue. It's Mr.
Let's
Copeland
go.
falsely accusing, based upon our investigation, a gentleman named Fred and Little Haiti Gang of killing another person. And there's going to be no information that that's close to being true, but that's what he spits out. And my belief is that that's why Mr. Williams is sitting here, because he again just falsely accuses others. That's why I wanted it in. It goes to the investigation. It's the same exact argument. The police are just listening to rumor, speculation, and people who concoct stories and that's what I want to bring out in the courtroom through Mr. Copeland.
Now this is crazy. Can you imagine if YSL Steele gets up here, or YSL Adams, or Matt Shaw, or Mr. Weinstein, any of them get up here with YSL Will, and he gets impeached in front of the jury? That means everything went out. Was the state's case speculation? Was the Atlanta Police Department allegation? Did YSL Will, was he really part of the cooperation or part of the investigation? Did Judge Glanville actually have a change of heart? With all of the motions today, you see that he's actually ruling against the state. So ask yourself, what made the judge actually start ruling against the state? Is it the motions filed by the defense finally shedding light to the higher ups about this actual case? Ask yourself, is this Woody's fault? Did Woody play the state? Let's dig.
Mr. Copeland is providing whatever information that he's providing, but they are focused on two things. The gang war that was ensuing at this time, because by the time January 28, 2015 has occurred, the murder of Donovan Thomas has occurred. I believe there was a shooting at Mr. Williams' stepfather's house had occurred. Mr. Copeland's girlfriend's mother's house was shot up by this time. Mr. Copeland had been shot at on the highway by this time. And that is what they are interviewing. I mean, that is what they are investigating. This notion that the detectives just was getting information and this was their investigation. No, he's providing information on a number of different topics. All the topics were not relevant to what they were investigating. The fact that he is telling them who he thinks murdered DB has no bearing
Ms. Hilton
on
have
what these
several
investigators were
seats.
investigating at the time that they interviewed him. He's just giving information about a number of different things.
Let's put
They
together
parsed
a
down what
string
was
of
relevant.
speculations and
And they
allegations.
further investigated what was
That
relevant
nobody was
based on what
charged
they were
for.
investigating at the time,
Come
which
on.
was the murder of Donovan Thomas and the back and forth shootings that had occurred between January 10th and January 28th. The time that they are interviewing Mr. Copeland on the 28th, they had
Of January.
Imagine being the jury having
they
to
had
listen
leading
to all
up
of
to the
this.
murder. They had a
Then
shooting
it just
at
it
988
never
Confederate
stops.
Court, which was on January 8th.
Never proven.
They had the shooting on Spring Street at Ivan Allen, which was
Just
near the area
alleged,
where Mr.
speculated,
Williams'
and
girlfriend
put
was having
together
a
on
birthday party or
chalkboards,
some type of party.
whiteboard.
They
Everybody
had the
has
murder
all
of
of the
Donovan
paperwork
Thomas on January
with no
10th.
reports.
They had the shooting that night, early morning hours of January 11th at 88 Venera Street. Another shooting at 193 Hendrick Street. Another
Even though
shooting
the
on
judge
January
is actually
12th at
being,
349 Cleveland
in my
Avenue.
personal opinion, being
Another
fair
shooting on
with
Ruby
some of
Harper.
these rulings, I still feel like it's a bigger play. Why? Because Woody has showed his eye that you can't trust the state.
They had a shooting at Mr. Copeland's sister house on January 13th. They had another shooting on January 13th. I believe that's the address on Ruby Harper, which was Mr. Williams' stepfather's house. On January 22nd, they had a shooting at Mr. Rayshawn Bennett's mother's home. Then they had another shooting on January 26th where Mr. Copeland and I believe Mr. Stillwell and Demikion Garland were in a car and they got shot out on the highway. Then there was another shooting back at Mr. Bennett's mother's home at that time. And then there was a shooting at Entrevia Smith's house on January 25th.
Copeland about them, and they chose to. And then whether or not he lied about it. Now, whether or not it's relevant to the issue of the killing of Donovan Thomas, that's the principal issue. But if I believe they're entitled to at least ask him about those things. I mean, now, whether or not they can prove up anything else is another thing. It may be a collateral matter. But if he lied some in substance about what he told the police or why he told them that, I think that's fair game for them to examine.
But
Steele told you he has a good faith basis to ask the question.
Well, the statement it's collateral, but we understand, of course.
Fair game.
Yes? All right, okay. All right.
This is what my girlfriend's friends told me, and I am giving you information that I am hearing. That is a rumor.
But I think that Mr. Steele's saying is that he can test Mr. Copeland about, because Mr. Steele, you saying there's another version of this? He's
Look
told
at the prosecution over there holding the man.
already?
She don't even know how to take this head. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Way there,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
allow
that
him,
devil
I'm
gonna
gonna allow
come.
him to ask about it for that reason. So, on cross.
So what exactly does this mean for the prosecution? Well, the major plan seems to have backfired with the state's witness. They went all in with the mountain of evidence, hoping to overwhelm the defense and the jury. But now, with the key pieces of evidence being excluded and the state's witness actually going against the state, not only is the defense gaining momentum, but the big question now is, can the prosecution still sway the jury? Now, will the prosecution actually be able to regroup and present a compelling argument with the evidence that they do have left? And not to forget, we still haven't seen the state's key witness actually be cross-examined by the defense. And even more ironic, who would have thought, out of all this time and all the hype behind the state's key witness, that the defense would actually be the ones eager to actually cross-examine the state's key witness? And since the state has yet again failed to prove the actual connection between YSL, Young Thug, and Big Nut, aka Donovan Thomas, again, this is actually a big opportunity for the defense to actually be able to dismantle the witness credibility right in front of the jury. So ask yourself, if that does happen, could that be the final blow for the state's case? And are the judge's rulings actually because he's being fair and not biased? Or are these shocking rulings actually his attempt to help try to clean up the state's mess? And with the judge steadily declining the actual immediate review of the YSL case, ask yourself, will the defense recent victories actually shift the balance of this trial? Or will the prosecution end up back on one page in the attempt to salvage their case? Will the Supreme Courts of Georgia actually step in and put a cease on this case? Or will this high-profile case actually expose corruption at Fulton County DA and coercion from the state? Will Young Thug and YSL actually be home before the end of the year? Or will we really still be asking these same questions this time next year? Man, it's your boy Jay. Y'all make sure y'all jump in the comments. Y'all make sure y'all drop y'all's thoughts. Let me know exactly what you think. Did the state just get bombarded? Did the defense catch a whole bunch of breaks? Is Judge Glenville on his way out? Is a mistrial on the way? Man, so much to talk about and not enough time to do it. Man, it's your boy Jay. Until next time, y'all make sure y'all hit that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Remember, the life you save might be your own. Till next time, it's your boy Jay. Gone.